A resounding dragon's roar shook the heavens and earth, echoing through the sky as radiant azure light spread out. 300 rays of azure dragon's light streaked forward with unmatched power, tearing through the air. Boom, boom, boom. Wherever the azure light passed, mountains crumbled with astounding speed. Even the very fabric of space seemed to warp under this onslaught. The sheer force was terrifying beyond words. Atop Boundless Mountain, figures were thrown back in disarray. Stunned gazes reflected the overwhelming azure dragon energy sweeping across the battlefield, eyes wide with fear. Could this terrifying attack truly come from someone at the perfect completion of the death mystique stage? A monster, people murmured, exchanging glances and silently labeling the one behind this monstrous attack. Grand Celestial Demon Body. My demon is eternal. Hua Qin's face grew serious as he fixed his gaze on the torrent of azure energy closing in, and he shouted with force. An ominous black light surged from within him, engulfing his form. In mere moments, he transformed into a colossal demonic shadow nearly 100 meters tall, roaring like a devil from another realm. Demon-devouring statue. Su Xiu shouted as well, his eyes gleaming with malice. Behind him, space seemed to tear apart as a gigantic, eerie demon statue emerged, faceless and bearing only a large black vortex at its forehead, chillingly sinister. Both Hua Qin and Su Xiu unleashed their full power. Suspended in midair, Lin Dong's eyes, ringed by the azure dragon's light, fixed on the demon-infused duo, his expression growing sharper. With a fierce grasp, he commanded, "Azure Dragon, subdue the demons." His low voice rumbled like a dragon's call across the sky. In an instant, 300 strands of azure dragon light converged, forming a colossal dragon claw, nearly 1,000 meters across. The claw, covered in enormous scales, radiated an intense, suffocating pressure as if a real dragon had descended, tearing through space. This technique wasn't unfamiliar. It was the same strike Azure Phoenix had used to pierce through space and halt the Yuan sect's 3 leaders in Demon City. Yet Azure Phoenix's dragon claw had been far more potent and overwhelming. Of course, Lin Dong knew that, one day, he would face those same Yuan sect leaders, who had once dismissed him as an insect, and emerge victorious by his own strength. Boom! The dragon claw condensed and, in the next instant, ripped through the air, slamming toward Hua Qin and Su Xiu with countless onlookers watching in shock. Roar! The demonic shadows screamed, black light surging as they met the azure onslaught head-on. Within and beyond the boundless mirror, countless eyes fixated on the impending clash as the energies collided. Surprisingly, no thunderous sound accompanied the impact. All anyone could see was blinding azure and black light mingling and enveloping everything in sight. In Blaze City, the boundless mirror floating above reflected the violent azure and black clash, obscuring all else. Everyone felt the savage waves reverberating through the mirror, rippling across its surface. At the Flame Deity Palace, Missouri Luo's face showed surprise as he gazed at the rippling boundless mirror. The boundless mirror, it's about to shatter. What a clash. What? Gasped the nearby elder. Crack. Before he could process this, the sky above darkened. Cracks raced across the surface of the boundless mirror, bright azure and black light spilling from within. The boundless mirror is breaking. Many noticed, voices rising in shock. Blaze City turned chaotic as people scrambled away from the boundless mirror. Within seconds, the 1,000-meter radius around it was deserted. Crack, crack. The cracks deepened until, with a final snap, the boundless mirror shattered. Blinding azure and black light exploded outward, filling the air. Fortunately, the blindness lasted only a fleeting moment, and soon everyone's vision began to clear. As sight returned, almost instinctively, all eyes turned toward the center of the radiant light. In the heart of the city, a blinding blue glow still lingered, so intense that it obscured the view of what lay within. Bang, bang, bang. As the crowd eagerly strained to see through the light, a series of whooshing sounds erupted. They were shocked to see figures tumbling out from the brilliance in disarray. It's those who entered the boundless mirror, gasped the onlookers, recognizing the disheveled figures being thrown out. Whoosh! 3 beams of light shot backward out of the glow, then swiftly landed atop a nearby building. A closer look revealed them to be Tang Xinlian, Jose, and Mu Lingshan. The 3 of them ignored the surrounding gazes, their eyes fixed intently on the origin of the radiance, faces filled with apprehension. The city seemed to fall into an uneasy silence, every eye focused on the light's source, waiting with bated breath for it to disperse. Desperately, they wanted to know the outcome of the fierce battle that had even shaken the boundless mirror. Who had triumphed? Gradually, the intense glow began to fade and finally vanished completely, revealing the scene within to everyone's astonished eyes. The first thing they saw was an enormous crater, nearly 1,000 feet wide. Every structure within it had been reduced to dust, a sight that sent chills down many spines. They were relieved they hadn't been caught in that blast. It would have been disastrous. "Look there!" someone cried out. In an instant, countless gazes shifted, and they saw, standing at the center of the crater, 3 figures locked in a tense standoff. These 3 were none other than the brightest stars of this championship, the ones responsible for this devastation. No winner? The crowd stared, stunned, at the 3 unmoving figures facing off, a look of disbelief flashing across their faces. How is this possible? Tang Xinlian and the others were just as shocked. They'd gone to such extremes. Had no one emerged victorious? On the flame deity palace, Missouri Luo's crimson gaze locked on the trio within the crater. A relieved smile slowly curved his lips as he murmured, "These young ones are truly remarkable." The moment Imo Luo's words fell, countless gazes across Blaze City witnessed an abrupt change. 2 streams of blood suddenly burst from Huachan and Sushio's bodies. Their eyes filled with shock as their bodies slowly toppled over. Thud. Their bodies hit the ground with a dull sound, making every spectator's heart skip a beat. And then, almost instantly, all eyes were riveted to the one slender figure still standing within the crater, eyes alight with awe. The epic battle had finally concluded. 2 blood-stained bodies lay motionless on the ground, fine dust rising before slowly settling like the last sand of a dissipating storm. The entire city was silent. After a brief moment of shock, every gaze fell upon the lone youth standing in the crater. They stared at his lean form, some with solemnity, others with admiration, fully understanding the intensity of battle it must have taken to conquer these 2. Across the Chaos Demon Sea, few among the younger generation could achieve such a feat. Only this exceptional individual named Lin Dong. He actually won. Incredible? Zhou Zei's gaze drifted to that solitary figure, a hint of daze in his eyes. Taking a deep breath, he sighed. Even someone as proud as he couldn't help but feel a touch of respect. Only by clashing with Hua Chun and Su Xiu could one truly grasp their power. And yet Lin Dong had managed to defeat both. "My master's judgment was spot on," Tang Xinlian whispered, her bright eyes gleaming as she gazed at the figure in the crater. Her voice held an uncharacteristic gentleness rarely seen from her. "I knew brother Lin Dong would win." Mu Lingshan cheered with delight. In the future, brother Lin Dong will become a renowned figure in the Chaos Demon Sea. If that old man Evil Bone from the Evil Wind Cavern knew, he probably wouldn't dare show his face in front of him ever again, Guya said with a cheerful laugh, finally relaxing as the outcome unfolded. She stood on a building not far from the giant crater. Beside her, Gu Mingqi and Gu Yin exchanged a glance and then smiled softly. They knew that after this battle, Lin Dong's reputation would resonate throughout the entire Chaos Demon Sea. Although they were unsure of his background in the Eastern Mystery region, the news would undoubtedly stir up significant waves when it reached there. This man who emerged from the Eastern Mystery region was destined to leave a lasting impression on anyone who encountered him. The silence in Blaze City lingered for a long time until, suddenly, a cheer broke out. It spread like a dam bursting, and countless cheers erupted, converging into a tidal wave of applause that echoed throughout the city. Such a spectacular battle was enough to win the admiration of anyone present. Amid the overwhelming cheers from the entire city, the figure in the giant crater trembled slightly, then started to cough violently. Blood spurted from his mouth, which he covered with his hand. His face turned shockingly pale. "What troublesome opponent," Lin Dong muttered with a bitter smile as he looked at the two figures before him. He could feel that his primordial energy was completely drained. A wave of dizziness surged through his mind, and just as he tried to take a step forward, his body wavered and nearly collapsed. Yet, before he could fall to the ground in a heap, he felt a flash of red light, and then his body landed on something soft. A delicate fragrance subtly filled his nostrils. The unexpected softness cleared some of the dizziness from Lin Dong's mind. He turned his head and found a pair of bright, beautiful eyes gazing at him, while his body was almost resting against a soft, warm figure. Tang Xinlian did not shy away from Lin Dong's gaze. A gentle smile emerged on her exquisite face, a rare sight compared to her usual stern demeanor. Tang Xinlian helped him sit cross-legged, then knelt beside him. She looked up at the clear blue sky, a scene so peaceful, a stark contrast to the earlier fierce battle. "Thank you," Tang Xinlian said softly with a smile, turning her head to Lin Dong. She understood how much effort Mo Luo had put into this plan, knowing that if Lin Dong had failed, all of it would have been in vain, and their flame deity palace's reputation would have suffered a significant blow. "I was pushed to the brink. There was no way to back down," Lin Dong responded with a wry smile. He glanced at his blood-stained hands, the smile on his face turning even more bitter. It had been a long time since he had fought so desperately. As Lin Dong stared at his own hands, covered in blood and grime, a slender, alabaster hand suddenly reached out beside him. In his startled gaze, it gently took hold of his hand. Then, with delicate care, Tang Xinlian drew out a soft silk cloth from her robes and slowly began to wipe the blood from his hands. Lin Dong was momentarily stunned by this scene. The coolness of her hand felt like holding a piece of soft jade, with an incredibly pleasant sensation. Yet he felt a shiver run down his spine, for he could hear the gasps and see the suddenly intense stares from around the city. "Are you trying to get me killed here?" Lin Dong said awkwardly. This was probably the first time he had been treated like this by such a beautiful woman. What made it worse was Tang Xinlian's special status in the Flame Deity Palace. Many admirers were undoubtedly watching, and now he had drawn all their envy upon himself. Instinctively, he tried to pull his hand back, but he forgot that in his current state, he was no match for Tang Xinlian. His attempts to withdraw his hand were futile. "I'm a girl, and I'm not afraid. What are you worried about?" Tang Xinlian replied nonchalantly, not even looking at him, as she continued to carefully wipe the blood off Lin Dong's hands until they were completely clean. This scene quickly caused a huge stir in the city. Tang Xinlian, known as the Fire Fairy of the Chaos Demon Sea, had a reputation that few did not know. Her power matched her stunning beauty, making her the dream of countless young talents. But her usual demeanor was bold and commanding, with a strength and determination that often deterred potential suitors. Yet now, this girl, who commanded nearly 80% of the Flame Deity Palace's forces, was kneeling beside a man, disregarding the grime, quietly wiping away the blood from his hands. The sight was shocking, and soon the city was filled with whistles of admiration. Hints of envy mixed in the sound. For such fortune, any amount of hardship was worth it. Outside the massive pit, Jose watched the scene, his gaze dimming for a moment before he shrugged indifferently. Amid the chorus of whistles, Tang Xinlian carefully wiped the blood from Lin Dong's hand and, without a hint of discomfort, withdrew her hand. She glanced at Lin Dong and said, "I'm just very grateful for your help today. Don't read into it." With that, she turned slightly, giving Lin Dong a glimpse of her delicate profile. Her face remained calm, as if what she'd just done was of no consequence. However, Lin Dong, sharp-eyed as ever, noticed the slight tremble in Tang Xinlian's jade-like hand as she pulled it back. Clearly, the girl's heart was not as unshaken as her calm exterior suggested. Still, despite noticing this, Lin Dong refrained from saying more and could only nod awkwardly. Then, looking over at the fallen Huachun and Su Xiu, he remarked, "They're still alive." As he said this, Lin Dong saw Tang Xinlian's delicate face grow cold. Her slender hand clenched, and the fire phoenix spear appeared in her grip. Then let's kill them. Tang Xinlian rose, transforming from the gentle girl of a moment before back into the decisive and lethal fire fairy of the flame deity palace. That icy killing intent made Lin Dong's brow twitch. She moved swiftly, wasting no words, and stepped forward with her bright, icy eyes fixed on her targets. The spear in her hand gleamed with a chilling light as she ruthlessly drove it toward the heads of the two men on the ground. Buzz. Just as the spear was about to pierce their heads, a ring of dark light suddenly radiated from their bodies, intercepting the spear with a metallic clang. This unexpected turn made Tang Xinlian's beautiful eyes narrow slightly, yet her expression remained unsurprised. Instead, she lifted her face to the sky and murmured, "So, you're finally going to reveal yourself?" Lin Dong also looked up, his eyes narrowing as he witnessed a massive black rift spreading across the blue sky above. An overwhelming demonic aura poured forth, blanketing the world. The deep blue sky was slowly torn open by the monstrous black crack, exuding a terrifyingly malevolent energy. This evil aura felt similar to that of Huachun and Suxiu, but it was far more potent. As the malevolent energy spread, everyone sensed that the surrounding primordial energy began to churn violently, infused with a feeling of resistance and rejection. This discovery left many of the powerful observers stunned. Never before had they felt the primordial energy reject something. Was it not supposed to flow freely for all beings of this world to harness? What is that? Some looked at the ominous change in the sky with confusion, disturbed by the black demonic aura yet utterly clueless as to its origin. Lin Dong sat cross-legged, watching the growing rift above with a tense gaze, his hand slowly clenching into a fist. He murmured, "So they couldn't hold back any longer." "Fire deity guard." Tang Xinlian's icy eyes flashed, and she suddenly shouted, "Swish!" With her command, the sky filled with the sound of rushing air as thousands of armored figures in heavy red armor appeared, hovering in formation. Their massive spears rose as one, and in that instant, the aura of the fire deity guard seemed to fuse into a singular, fearsome wave that struck awe into countless onlookers. Boom! As the fire deity guard emerged, a black beam of light suddenly shot out from the rift above, transforming into a massive black hand that lunged toward the fallen Huachun and Suxiu below. "This is the Flame Deity Palace's domain. Your kind isn't welcome here." Scarlet flames surged from Tang Xinlian's body, forming fiery phoenix wings behind her. She dashed forward, placing herself at the forefront of the fire deity guard, her jade hand gripping the fire phoenix spear as her chilling voice echoed across the city. "Fire deity guard, spirit convergence." "Yes." The unified shout of the fire deity guard thundered as blazing red primordial energy flooded out, coalescing above them into a massive 1,000-foot-tall flame phoenix. Tang Xinlian's graceful form was flung back, landing upon the 1,000-foot phoenix. With a fierce downward thrust of her fire phoenix spear, the phoenix raised its head and let out a piercing cry. From its gaping beak, crimson flames poured out like a sea of fire, crashing head-on into the colossal torrent of dark energy roaring down from the fissure. Boom! The sky echoed with the resounding blast as the red flames spread, effectively halting the fierce onslaught. Lin Dong watched in amazement, sensing the incredible power of the attack emerging from the rift, an attack so intense that even a perfect completion death mystique stage warrior would have to muster all their might. Yet, Tang Xinlian had neutralized it with apparent ease. "She can command the power of the fire deity guard?" Lin Dong glanced at the fire deity guard, lined up behind Tang Xinlian in perfect formation. The massive force he'd felt earlier had clearly come from their combined strength. Ordinarily, uniting such power requires an almost unnatural level of coordination. Even disciples from the same sect struggle with it. However, the fire deity guard had mastered it, a testament to Flame Deity Palace's extensive effort in building this formidable force. And with this power, Tang Xinlian's strength had vastly surpassed her solo abilities. Even Lin Dong, at his peak, would hesitate to face her head-on in this state. "Since you're here, why not show yourself? No need to skulk around." Tang Xinlian's cold voice rang out as she stood upon the phoenix, her icy gaze fixed on the giant rift above. Heh, such an arrogant little girl. A sinister laugh echoed from the rift, where black mist churned. Suddenly, the dark energy swelled, coalescing into a shadowy figure. This form, larger and more imposing than any human, was adorned with sharp, bone-spiked demon wings that spread out, dimming the very sky. The figure bore human-like features, yet its face was etched with eerie, golden demonic patterns. The golden-marked wings emitted an ominous aura, hinting at a terrifying power. This is... Lin Dong's eyes narrowed as he looked upon the golden-marked demon wings, his fist clenching. A general-grade alien demon. This was his first time seeing a general-grade alien demon in person. According to human rankings, this creature equaled a revolution stage powerhouse. Mo Luo's plan had truly lured out some big players. Let's see how your combined formation fares against me. The general-grade alien demon laughed wildly as he extended his massive hand. Dark energy surged before him, forming a swirling black vortex. With a wave of his sleeve, the vortex spun rapidly, unleashing devastating force toward the fire deity guard. You insolent beast! How dare you act up in my flame deity palace? Before the vortex could strike, an angry shout rang out. A red-robed elder suddenly appeared in front of Tang Xinlian, his hand outstretched as vast primordial energy rolled forth, a seamless fusion of life and death energy. This elder, to everyone's shock, was also a revolution stage powerhouse. Boom! Two mighty forces collided in midair, making the entire city tremble as shockwaves swept outward, sending nearby onlookers sprawling. That's Elder Qi Yun of Flame Deity Palace, a revolution stage powerhouse. What kind of creature could contend with Elder Qi Yun? The spectacle in the sky left the crowd in stunned silence. Faces shifted with realization. Some keen observers sensed something unusual was brewing. Revolution stage warriors typically remain secluded, rarely called to action. But when one did appear, it was always for a momentous event. Haha, Flame Deity Palace is no slouch. The general-grade alien demon retreated a few steps, laughing as he eyed the red-robed elder before Tang Xinlian. But if you think you can lure us here with such fanfare, beware. You might just end up burned. You too come out as well. As he spoke, the demon's gaze shifted back to the gaping fissure. Looks like this world is about to plunge into chaos once more. Following his words, thick black fog surged from the rift. Boom! As the three demon shadows emerged, sinister black mist filled the sky, casting an oppressive gloom that even seemed to sap the sun of its usual blaze. Three general-grade alien demons. Lin Dong's pupils contracted as he took in the scene, even his steely resolve faltering slightly as he drew a sharp breath. These were no ordinary foes. They were three genuine superpowered beings at the revolution stage. As Lin Dong stifled his gasp, the entire city descended into chaos. Countless eyes widened in disbelief. Who could have imagined that these elusive and almighty beings would appear here and all at once? We're in for trouble. Whispers spread among those who exchanged uneasy glances, each recognizing the dread in the other's gaze. So, three general-grade alien demons? It seems you all hold quite a high opinion of our Flame Deity Palace. A calm voice drifted through the sky, drawing countless eyes to its source. There, atop the main hall of the Flame Deity Palace, a towering figure slowly rose. A flaming symbol on his brow began to burn, radiating a terrifying heat like a gathering storm. But Mo Luo's crimson eyes glanced indifferently at the three demon generals, then turned toward the depths of a massive rift, where his low voice made Lin Dong's scalp prickle. There's also a king-grade alien demon here, isn't there? Show yourself. I wonder which demon king you might be. A king-grade alien demon? Lin Dong felt a shiver as he looked up at the black rift overhead, its lightless void exuding a dark malevolence that sent a chill through him. Mo Luo's words had struck a nerve. A king-grade alien demon? Such a terrifying entity had once instilled fear even in ancient times. By human standards, this level of demon was on par with a genuine powerhouse at the reincarnation stage. In truth, Lin Dong had never truly encountered a peak reincarnation stage master. While Qingji had reached this stage, Lin Dong hadn't faced him directly. As for Ying Huanhuan's past as the Ice Master, she too had been a force of terror in ancient times, though that had been before her reincarnation. The other so-called superpowers he'd seen, Ying Xuanzi, the Yuan sect's 3 heads, Mulan. All of them were at most at the revolution stage, separated by a near-insurmountable chasm from a true reincarnation stage expert. As for Imo Luo, thanks to the flame ancestral talisman, his battle strength rivaled that of a reincarnation stage master, yet he hadn't actually crossed that threshold. But now, this so-called king-grade alien demon, this being had truly achieved the ultimate pinnacle. Perched atop the fire phoenix, Tang Xinlian and Elder Qiyun exchanged uneasy glances. A king-grade alien demon? They hadn't expected that even a ruler among these demons had been drawn here. Most people in the city stared in confusion, unsure of the meaning of Imo Luo's words. Yet, a few well-connected strong figures understood enough to feel a chill at the sight of the vast black rift. Rumors of alien demons might have faded, but clues had lingered, pieced together by those who knew what to look for. Truly worthy of the flame ancestral talisman, before the rift, the 3 demon generals smiled coldly at Imo Luo, but their gazes held a trace of solemnity. After all, even demons dared not underestimate a revolution stage foe wielding the legendary flame ancestral talisman. Since ancient times, many powerful demons had fallen to these ancestral talisman wielders. Imo Luo's red gaze remained indifferent as he fixed on the 3 demon generals. Slowly, he raised a hand and swept it downward. Boom! With the gesture, countless powerful auras erupted from within the flame deity palace, filling the sky with glimmers of light. Figures appeared, one after another. The people of the city looked up, eyes fixed on the throng of warriors now filling the sky, their faces growing pale with shock. Yaml, reveal yourself. Imo Luo's gaze burned as he stared intently at the vast black fissure, calling out once again. Heh! You ancestral talisman wielders are quite the hassle, aren't you? Within the enormous black fissure, viscous black demon aura suddenly surged like a tidal wave. As this dark aura made contact with the realm, it emitted a piercing hiss, causing the surrounding primordial energy to dissipate upon contact. At that moment, a fearsome and indescribable aura slowly emerged from the fissure. Countless powerful beings raised their heads in terror, their bodies instinctively trembling and, for some, even dropping to their knees under its oppressive weight. Gulp! The towering mass of black aura started to writhe, and under the gaze of countless onlookers, a massive black throne gradually took form in the sky. On this throne, a figure had somehow already appeared. Clad in a deep purple robe, the figure's face was indistinguishable from a human's, but 2 fierce demon wings unfurled from his back. The wings, tinted in a gleaming purple-gold hue, radiated waves of destructive energy. He had violet eyes, yet devoid of any hint of emotion, eyes that resembled those of death itself. This is the alien demon king. Lin Dong stared unblinkingly at the purple-robed man on the black throne, his expression growing solemn as the terrifying aura seeped from the figure's body, causing his 2 ancestral talismans to tremble slightly within him. Imo Luo's gaze also fixed intently on the purple-robed figure. Moments later, the flame sigil on his brow ignited, his body slowly rising into the air as crimson flames surged around him, matching the intensity of the figure above. My name is Tianming. You may address me as King of Netherheaven. These are my 3 demon generals, and at Lord Imo Luo's gracious invitation, we've traveled thousands of miles to be here today. Tianming spoke with a slight smile, his voice calm as he looked at Imo Luo. Knowing it's a trap, yet you dare come. Your confidence is quite impressive, Imo Luo replied coolly. Heh, the Thunder Ancestral Talisman is a powerful ore, worth the risk. Even if it's a decoy, the Flame Ancestral Talisman is genuine. Tianming grinned. I've long known Lord Imo Luo bears the Flame Ancestral Talisman, but I couldn't act until now. Since you've revealed yourself today, I'll simply claim it from you. Such divine objects shouldn't remain in your hands. You think you have the skill to take the flame ancestral talisman from me? Mo Luo narrowed his eyes. Heh, our clan easily wiped out the Thunder Palace, and we'll do the same to your Flame Deity Palace. Losing a king-grade alien demon in the process hardly counts as easy. Even if some alien demons still linger in this world, how many king grades do you truly have? Tian Ming's smile darkened as he slowly stood, a chilling malevolence in his purple eyes. As he rose, endless demon aura billowed out, blotting out the sky. This world will ultimately belong to us. His laughter echoed as he suddenly directed his gaze downward, right at Lin Dong. Why does this little one annoy me so much? Even more than you do, Mo Luo. Kill him. Tian Ming grinned, revealing razor-sharp teeth as his murderous intent sent a chill through everyone around him. Yes. At his command, the three demon generals replied with sinister laughter. Their figures flickered, twisting space around them. How dare you? Tang Xinlian's eyes grew cold as she watched them target Lin Dong. She stepped forward, her crimson phoenix roaring in response. Heh, best if you stay put. The space in front of her twisted, two shadows emerging in a burst of demon aura that not only stopped the phoenix, but even kept Elder Qiyun beside her from stepping forward. Seeing the two demon generals blocking her, Tang Xinlian's face paled, her gaze darting down to see a black light already moving toward Lin Dong. Master! Tang Xinlian shouted anxiously, but Mo Luo did not respond to her cry. His gaze was locked on Tian Ming in the distance, knowing this was no ordinary foe, one he could not afford to underestimate. Swish! In front of Lin Dong, space twisted as a demon general, shrouded in black aura, appeared. Glancing indifferently at Lin Dong, he raised his hand, preparing to strike. I don't know why you're considered so important, but since my lord commanded it, I'll take your life now. Whoosh! As soon as the alien demon general made his move, the ground around Lin Dong began to collapse, and even the space itself warped, sealing off any chance of escape. In his current state, facing a formidable opponent with power akin to the revolution stage, Lin Dong had no strength to resist. He looked up at the rapidly approaching black light in his vision, clenched his teeth, and began to close his eyes in resignation. But just as his eyes were about to fully shut, a brilliant azure light suddenly flared, followed by the resonant roar of a dragon, shaking the heavens and earth. Boom! The space behind Lin Dong shattered as a massive azure dragon claw tore through, smashing fiercely into the alien demon general. The overwhelming force sent the powerful revolution stage demon general hurtling back thousands of meters, reducing every structure in his path to dust. The crowd gasped in shock. Lin Dong, too, stared in stunned disbelief before quickly turning his head. Emerging from the fractured space behind him, surrounded by a radiant azure light, was a tall figure. His clear, mocking laughter echoed through the heavens.